Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto manga discussion. So this is going to be my speculation as we head into Boruto Chapter 72. So we're coming off a month break for the manga, and the chapter should be coming out on I think the 19th of August. So like usual, 10 days-ish before the chapter here. So the big thing about this chapter obviously is that it's going to be the start of a brand new volume. The last chapter that we had ended the previous volume, so there should be some sense that like, okay, we're going to start to build up to something kind of bigger. Now the immediate cliffhanger from the previous chapter was obviously a sort of combination thing that one, the big event of the chapter was obviously that basically Ada and Code have sort of split apart. They're not allied together anymore. Ada has basically agreed to come with Amado back to the Leaf Village, where apparently Amado is going to reveal his secrets, what he's really been doing all of this for, what his, like, I suppose, true motivation is when it comes to why he feels Kawaki needs to have the karma mark and what that does for him, basically. So we're preparing for the arrival of those characters, so Demon, Ada, and Amado at the Leaf Village, but at the same time, Code, who also has Bug with him, is basically planning his revenge. Now, what's not clear is which of these things is going to happen first. I think the big one probably is just Code's revenge. Is he planning to do that like immediately or not? The way I think it should be done, and the way I think it probably will be done, is that I think they will have this volume build to the arrival of Code at the Leaf Village. So I do think what they probably should do is have Ada, Demon, and Amado arrive at the Leaf Village and allow us to get a lot of those conversation points going. Now, I hope that doesn't just lead to another tease of Amado's about to talk when Code arrives. I would actually like to get what the actual plan is with Amado and just more on him. They have teased and teased and teased what his deal is, why he knows so much. It's about time we finally get some answers. We've been waiting a very long time, and there's been so many fake outs of, oh no, he doesn't actually have any ulterior motives. Oh no, wait, he's actually the most suspicious character in the show. Okay, now he's actually seemingly ready to talk once they get back to the Leaf Village. So, like, that is interesting by itself. The issue, though, and I don't know if this is the case for everyone, but I'm not particularly connecting, like, amazingly strongly with Code as our big villain here. It's not that I think he's a bad character or anything like that. I just don't necessarily buy that he feels like the big threat for this long a period of the manga. Now, obviously, there's a sense that we know we're eventually getting to, like, the Boruto Kawaki, the time skip incident and stuff like that. That's what we're building up towards. And then in terms of more of a long-term plot, I'd say it's more Otsutsuki-related stuff. So Code feels like his plot is sort of cool. It's the final, like, embers of, like, Ishiki's will. But are we actually going to do anything with it or not is sort of unclear. And a chapter like last chapter didn't really help with that sort of perception of the character, because right as he gets his limiters removed, they suddenly reveal that, okay, actually, you are not the most powerful character in the series. It's actually Demon. Demon is more powerful than you. What's going on here? And if Demon is now going to be sort of with the Leaf Village, mainly, I suppose, with his sister to protect her, we have the immediate counter to Code, and that sort of counters the idea of the setup of it being sort of a Code versus, say, like, Boruto, Naruto, Sasuke, and Kawaki, as one of the bigger things. So there's definitely still some interesting stuff overall, because of course, again, Demon's main motivation is just that he's, like, devoted to his sister and wants to protect her, meaning that Ada's motivations determine what they both want to do. And all that drives her is the want to basically see if she and Kawaki can potentially have an actual relationship. And I suppose there's probably still some interest in Boruto, just because he's also someone that she can kind of, like, bounce those ideas off. But Kawaki seems to be the one that she's interested in, so that's something that I think we probably will get in the upcoming chapters. That would be a very interesting, maybe like way to end the chapter we're going to get coming up now. Of just, we get our initial, they arrive at the village, everyone's shocked, but Amado's like, I need to tell everyone everything, and then you set up the idea of finally, like, Ada and Kawaki are going to finally talk, and that would be somewhat interesting. But I have a feeling they're going to continue with the sort of like gag they have going on there of like Ada is almost too afraid to talk to Kawaki just yet, so they'll build up to a really big moment with that, whereas he probably isn't even caring all that much about what exactly is going on. So that's at least my opinion. I think they will take the slower approach and build it up, have scenes where there's a lot of the kind of mystery stuff beginning to come out, and explaining the whole Amado, why he did what he did with Kawaki and getting the karma back. Because of course, from the last chapter, we also learned that in addition to giving him the powers, he also put like a deactivation kind of code in there as well. So Amado effectively has control over Kawaki, and given that Kawaki is like effectively like one of the most powerful characters in the series, it gives him a lot of kind of control over the situation from a more of a kind of, you know, political sort of standpoint, leverage position. So that's why he will be listened to in all of these situations, but we still have to wait and see what happens. Because ultimately, I think what we're building up towards is some sort of a big fight where the way the manga has been set up, it feels like Sasuke is going to have some sort of a big sacrifice moment. Whether or not they'll make the decision to kill him off, we're not exactly sure, but it's felt like that's been something that we've been building towards. There's like sort of the slight setup of like, say, Naruto has some sort of a secret with his Sage Mode that we really didn't get a chance to see in the last fight. So, you know, the idea that these characters, even though they're weakened, should still have a little bit more to show beyond just the fact that they've lost their really, really high-end powers. But, you know, Boruto feels like, you know, he needs to come back into the spotlight a little bit more, and like where he is after everything that's happened. And then you can't forget that Code's overall goal, he seems to be focusing on the revenge aspect of that now, especially now that he seems to have fully added like Amado to that list and so on, is that he eventually wants to get the divine tree, get the chakra fruit, eat it, and that will apparently make him an Otsutsuki. They reiterated that once again, having not said it for a while, since it was first told to him by the kind of dying embers of Ishiki. So that is still on his mind, and again, he needs either Boruto or Kawaki for that. And now that he's not allied with Ada, it's not going to matter to him which one he takes. So before, this limited him to sort of, he has to go after Boruto, but Boruto's the main character, they're not really going to do that. So Kawaki is now sort of open for that, but we know both those characters survive, so what's going on here? And there's that sort of idea of like, you know, there's maybe the slight potential of like, okay, what happens if, say, like Code gets fed to the divine tree? Apparently it shouldn't work, but there is some like karma Otsutsuki power in there, but it's not the exact one that's needed, because that is one of those karma marks that just gives him the power and not actually the Otsutsuki like DNA that's kind of really needed. You know, we'll see what exactly happens, and I think that's maybe the slight problem with all of this, is that we know that it feels like Code isn't really the main thing going on in the series at the moment. So, well, what exactly are we, you know, building towards overall? But let's say they do take the other path. Let's say they take the path of sort of the attack happens like straight away. What way do they do things there? I think that makes it suddenly very complicated about the whole like Amado Ada demon and like where they are and so on. There's also the sense of like, it is going to be Code against like the entire village, and is he going to want to do that given that like potentially demon could be there? That's the other factor in all of this. The main thing though is that I would hesitate to think that they'll do that, unless they're suddenly super accelerating the plot. So that's why I think as a volume starter, they're going to play on the idea of Amado's finally here, he's finally ready to reveal his secrets, and we'll build up, we'll get some of them, and maybe right as we're reeling from the reveals, that's when the attack from Code comes in. Other than that, I feel like we probably have to make this the sort of finale of this stage of Boruto. I feel like we probably do need to have the time skip sooner rather than later, just because it feels like we can't do anything all that big until we get to that point. I do feel like the flash forward scene from the start is really becoming this thing that is sort of like, you know, can we please just get to this moment so we don't know the immediate direction of the story, that we have to get there eventually. I would like to know where we're heading after that, because I don't really think that just Boruto versus Kawaki in the future is necessarily the finale of Boruto. So it feels like there's another stage of the story after that. Anything else to say? I don't really think so for the most part. Like, I think the manga is in like a decent position if it decides to really go for it. But obviously, chapters can be very hit and miss. Sometimes you can get these chapters that are like half, basically, they don't need to be there. This chapter effectively only really has 20 pages of notes. The other 20 pages are just a mix of like recap, extending scenes out when they don't need to be extended out. I'm hoping we get more of a kind of meaty chapter that actually like uses this page count quite well, because I do think there's probably like quite a bit of conversation that does need to happen. So I hope there's not too much recap, that we can just be like, boom, we're here at the Leaf Village. Boom, we're here. We're having the conversations. Ada is going to have to explain herself, I suppose, a little bit to, like, say, Naruto, Shikamaru, those type of characters, in terms of, like, yeah, I've decided to do this, now that she's more allied with them to a certain degree. And then Amado revealing the kind of whole secrets of it. Honestly, like, if they did do something like that, where, like, he just said something really shocking that prompts more discussion, that would be a pretty amazing cliffhanger if he just suddenly revealed that, like, I'm from the future or something like that. You know, so something like big and impactful that would explain why he is the most scientifically advanced character in the entire show, and explains just a little bit of those mysteries and how they exactly work. But other than that, I think that's basically all I want to say as we head into Boruto Chapter 72. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this one after a month break, which really was not needed. I don't know the full scenario regarding this. I know a couple of manga took breaks. I know One Piece did, but I think that was mainly just due to like the specific point of the story it was at, rather than like every manga took like this time off. But for Boruto, it feels especially like extreme of a break, because that means like we're down like an entire 12th of chapters for the year just by missing one. So really, really unfortunate there. But hopefully, if that month will have given time to really, really solidify and plan what is next. Because there's been a slight sense that this has just been sort of almost being written chapter by chapter. I'm not sure how big of a sense for like the overall trajectory of the series there necessarily is. But anyway, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are heading into the new chapter. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.